The chains were heavy on his wrists. Sergeant Marcus Cole stood in the dark transport ship with 40 other humans. They were prisoners. They were slaves. They were nothing to the aliens who had taken them from Earth. Marcus remembered the day the Velkari came. Their ships had blocked out the sun over New Chicago. They did not come to talk. They did not come to trade. They came to take. Earth's armies fought for 3 months. They lost. Now Marcus was property of the galactic sovereignty. The Velkari Empire stretched across 1,000 star systems. They were tall and beautiful creatures with silver skin and purple eyes. They could read thoughts. They could move things without touching them. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. And they thought humans were insects. The transport ship landed hard. The doors opened, and bright light hurt Marcus's eyes. He was 8 feet tall, and looked at the humans like they were garbage. "You are now soldiers of the auxiliary forces," the officer said. His voice was cold. "You will fight where we tell you. You will die when we need you to die. This is your only purpose now." Marcus and the others were taken to a training camp on a dead moon. There were other species there too. Short creatures with 4 arms. Tall, thin beings with no eyes. Fat aliens covered in scales. All of them were lesser species in the eyes of the Velkari. All of them were slaves. Training was brutal. Many died. The Velkari did not care. There were always more slaves to replace the dead ones. Marcus learned to fight with alien weapons. He learned to survive on strange worlds. He learned to hate his captors with a fire that burned deep in his chest. But he also learned to hide that hate. He learned to wait. Months passed. Then came the orders for Kethmar. The enemy held it with 50,000 soldiers. The sovereignty wanted it back. They sent the auxiliary forces first. They sent the slaves to die. Marcus stood in the dropship with 200 other soldiers. Humans, 4-armed Grethki, blind Seethers. All of them knew the truth. This was a suicide mission. "We're not meant to win," a young human private said. His name was Tommy Park. He was 19 years old. "We're just meant to soften them up for the real soldiers." Marcus looked at the boy. "Then let's surprise them," he said. "Let's win anyway." The dropship hit the ground and the doors blew open. Marcus ran into hell. The enemy was everywhere. They were called the Croath, big reptile creatures with thick armor and plasma guns. They had held Kethmar for 20 years. They did not plan to lose it. The first hour was chaos. Auxiliary soldiers died by the dozens. Marcus grabbed Tommy and pulled him behind a rock as plasma fire burned the air above them. "Listen to me," Marcus said. "Forget the Velkari battle plans. They don't care if we live. We need to care." He gathered survivors, 30 soldiers at first, then 50, then 100. He found officers who had given up, and he shook them until they remembered how to lead. He found soldiers who wanted to run, and he showed them how to fight instead. The Velkari commanders watched from space. They had expected the auxiliary forces to die in 6 hours and weaken the enemy defenses. Instead, something strange was happening. The humans were adapting. Marcus led raids at night. He set traps and ambushes. He used the terrain in ways the Croath did not expect. When the enemy attacked in force, he pulled his soldiers back. When the enemy relaxed, he struck fast and hard. Hours became days. The auxiliary forces were supposed to be dead. Instead, they were winning. On the 3rd day, Marcus led a final assault on the main fortress. He had 400 soldiers left. The Croath had 2,000 inside. Every military computer said the attack was impossible. Marcus did not care what computers said. They hit the fortress at dawn. Marcus was first through the wall. He fought with a rifle until it broke, then with a pistol until it was empty, then with a knife until the blade snapped, then with his bare hands until the enemy stopped coming. When the sun set, the fortress belonged to the auxiliary forces. Marcus Cole stood on the highest tower, covered in blood that was not his own. Around him, soldiers who should have been dead were cheering. Far above, in the flagship of the Sovereignty Fleet, Princess Queen Elvira Thondara watched the footage in silence. She was the heir to the Empire. She had lived for 800 years. She had seen 1,000,000 battles on 1,000 worlds. She had never seen anything like this. "What is that creature?" she asked her advisor. "A human, Your Majesty, a primitive species from a small planet called Earth, psychically blind, physically weak, short lifespan. They were considered barely worth collecting." The Princess Queen watched the human on the screen. He was helping wounded soldiers. He was laughing with his troops. He was crying over the dead. He was nothing special, just a mammal from a backwater world. No psychic powers, no special strength, no advanced technology. And yet he had done the impossible. "Bring him to me," the Princess Queen said. Her advisor's eyes went wide. "Your Majesty, a human, on the flagship? Did I stutter?" "No, Your Majesty, it will be done." The advisor hurried away. The Princess Queen kept watching the footage. The human called Marcus Cole interested her. He was a puzzle. He was an impossibility. She wanted to know how a creature so small and weak could burn so bright. She did not know it yet, but this simple curiosity would change the galaxy forever. On the surface of Kethmar, Marcus Cole finished burying his dead. Tommy Park had survived. So had 200 others. The rest were gone. Marcus said a prayer over the graves. He did not know if God could hear them this far from Earth. He hoped so. These soldiers deserved to be remembered. Then he looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the aliens who had enslaved his people were watching. They had sent him here to die. He had refused. He would keep refusing. As long as he had breath in his body, he would keep refusing. The war between Marcus Cole and the Galactic Sovereignty had just begun. And no one, not the Princess Queen, not the Valkyrie nobles, not even Marcus himself, could predict how it would end. The flagship of the Sovereignty was called the Eternal Throne. It was bigger than some moons. It held 1,000,000 Valkyrie and their servants. It was the most powerful ship in the known galaxy. And Marcus Cole walked through its golden halls in chains. Guards surrounded him. They were Valkyrie warriors in silver armor. Each one was 8 feet tall and could kill with a thought. They looked at Marcus like he was a disease that might spread. Marcus did not care. He had stopped caring what aliens thought of him a long time ago. They brought him to the throne room. It was vast and beautiful. Crystal pillars reached up to a ceiling painted with stars. Thousands of Valkyrie nobles stood in rows, watching. Their silver faces showed no emotion, but Marcus could feel their disgust. At the far end of the room sat the Princess Queen. Elvira Thondara was different from other Valkyrie. Her skin was not silver, but pale gold. Her eyes were not purple, but deep blue, like oceans Marcus remembered from Earth. She wore a crown of living light that floated above her head. She was the most beautiful and terrible thing Marcus had ever seen. "Bring the human forward," she commanded. Her voice was soft, but it filled the entire room. The guards pushed Marcus until he stood at the base of her throne. He was supposed to kneel. Every other species knelt before the Princess Queen. It was law. It was tradition. Marcus did not kneel. Gasps filled the throne room. Guards raised their weapons. The Princess Queen lifted one hand, and everyone froze. "You do not kneel," she said. It was not a question. "I kneel to no one," Marcus replied. "Not anymore. You are a slave of the Sovereignty. You belong to us. My body might be your prisoner. My soul never will be." The Princess Queen studied him. Her eyes began to glow. Marcus felt something cold touch his mind. She was trying to read his thoughts. He had heard about Valkyrie psychic powers. They could see inside your head. They could know your secrets. They could break your will. But something strange happened. The Princess Queen's eyes flickered. Her calm face showed confusion for just a moment. Then she pulled back. "I cannot read you," she said quietly. "Your mind is chaos." "Human minds are like that," Marcus said. "Too messy for your tricks." This was a lie. Marcus did not know if all human minds resisted Valkyrie powers. He only knew that his own was full of anger and pain, and memories too sharp to touch. Maybe that was what blocked her. Maybe it was something else. He did not care. The Princess Queen leaned forward on her throne. "You took Kethmar. My generals said it was impossible. They said your forces should have died in the first attack. Your generals sent us there to die. They did not expect us to refuse." "Refuse to die? No creature can refuse death." Marcus smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Humans can. We have been refusing death since we climbed down from trees on our homeworld. We refuse it every day. It makes us stubborn." "Stubborn?" the Princess Queen repeated. "Is that what you call it?" "Some call it hope. Some call it madness. We call it being human." A noble stepped forward. He was tall and angry. "Your Majesty, why do we listen to this animal? He should be executed for his disrespect. Let me remove his head and be done with this farce." Marcus turned to face the noble. He was still in chains. He was surrounded by enemies. He should have been afraid. He was not afraid. "You can try," Marcus said. "Better warriors than you have tried. They are all dead now." The noble's face twisted with rage. He reached for his weapon. But the Princess Queen spoke again. "Enough." One word and the noble froze. "Leave us, all of you. I wish to speak with the human alone." "Your Majesty," several nobles protested, "it is not safe. This creature is dangerous." "I am the Princess Queen of the Galactic Sovereignty. I have destroyed armies with a thought. I do not fear one small human." She looked at Marcus. "Do I?" Marcus met her eyes. "That depends on whether you plan to keep treating my people like animals." The nobles were shocked by his words. The Princess Queen was not. She almost seemed amused. "Everyone out. Now." The throne room emptied. Even the guards left, though they clearly did not want to. Soon only Marcus and the Princess Queen remained. She stood up from her throne and walked down the steps toward him. Up close, she was even more impressive. Power radiated from her like heat from a sun. "You interest me, human," she said. "I have lived for 800 years. I have seen countless species rise and fall. I have watched empires crumble and new ones grow. Nothing surprises me anymore." She stopped in front of him. They were close enough to touch. "But you surprise me." "I'm just a soldier," Marcus said. "Nothing special." "No, you are more than that. On Kethmar, you did not just survive. You inspired. You led creatures from a dozen different species. You made them believe they could win, and then you made it true." She reached out and touched the chains on his wrists. They fell away. "I am not freeing you," she said quickly. "Not yet. But I am curious. I want to understand how a creature with no psychic power, no superior strength, no advanced technology, can do what you did. And if you cannot understand, then perhaps I will have you killed." She smiled slightly. "Or perhaps I will learn something new. I have not learned anything new in a very long time." Marcus rubbed his wrists where the chains had been. "So what happens now? Now you join my personal guard. You will serve beside me. You will show me what humans can do." "I am not your servant." "No," the Princess Queen agreed. "You are my experiment. Try not to disappoint me, Marcus Cole." She turned and walked back to her throne. Marcus watched her go. He did not trust her. He did not like her. She was still his enemy, still the ruler of an empire that had enslaved his people. But something had changed. When she looked at him, she did not see an insect. She did not see garbage. She saw something she could not explain, and that frightened her. Good, Marcus thought. She should be frightened. Because humans were done being slaves. And one way or another, Marcus Cole was going to show this princess what humanity was truly capable of. The war was not over. It was just beginning. The Kreth swarm came without warning. Vaelthur was a peaceful world. Farms covered its green hills. Millions of people lived in quiet cities. The sovereignty used it to grow food for 100 planets. Then the sky turned black with enemy ships. The Kreth were monsters. They had no single body. They were a hive mind, millions of creatures controlled by one intelligence. They looked like insects the size of horses. They felt no fear. They felt no pain. They just kept coming until everything was dead. Marcus stood on the bridge of a sovereignty warship and watched the invasion begin. He had been part of the Princess Queen's Guard for 2 months now. He had learned much about the Valkyrie and their empire. He had learned that they were not as strong as they pretended to be, and now the Kreth were proving it. "We must establish a defensive line at the capital city," a Valkyrie general said. "Our psychic warriors will coordinate the defense. We will hold with honor." Marcus watched the battle maps. The Kreth were landing everywhere. Thousands of them died every minute, but thousands more took their place. The hive mind did not care about losses. It only cared about winning. "Your defensive line will fail," Marcus said. The general turned to glare at him. "You dare speak in a war council, human?" "I dare speak truth. The Kreth do not care about your lines. They will hit you from every direction at once. Your psychic coordination means nothing against an enemy that thinks faster than you can." "And what would you suggest?" the Princess Queen asked. She had been silent until now, watching everything. "We need to fight dirty, ambushes, traps, hit them where they do not expect. Stop trying to meet them in honorable battle, and start trying to survive." The general laughed. "This is Valkyrie military strategy you criticize. We have won wars for 10,000 years. And how many of those wars were against the Kreth?" Silence. The answer was clear. The Valkyrie had never faced anything like the swarm before. "Do what the general says," the Princess Queen ordered. "Establish the defensive line. We will show the Kreth that the sovereignty does not break." The battle began. It went badly. The Valkyrie fought with grace and skill. Their psychic warriors moved in perfect coordination. Their weapons were advanced and powerful. For the first few hours, they held the line. Then the swarm adapted. The Kreth changed their tactics. They sent suicide waves to disrupt psychic links. They attacked from underground. They dropped living bombs from the sky. The beautiful, coordinated Valkyrie defense fell apart piece by piece. Marcus watched from a forward position. He had a squad of human soldiers with him, other survivors from Kethmar who had asked to serve under him. They followed his orders without question. "The line is collapsing," Tommy Park said. He was still alive, still fighting. He had become Marcus's best soldier. "What do we do?" "We do what humans do," Marcus said. "We survive." He grabbed a radio. "All auxiliary forces, this is Sergeant Cole. Forget the battle plan. Fall back to the city. Use the buildings for cover. Set traps on every street. Make them pay for every inch." "You have no authority to give orders," a Valkyrie officer shouted over the radio. "Then shoot me later. Right now, follow my orders or die." Silence. Then slowly, the auxiliary forces began to move. Marcus led them into the city. He had studied old Earth wars. He knew how to fight in urban terrain. The swarm was strong in open fields, but cities were different. Cities were full of corners and shadows and death. Marcus and his soldiers moved through broken buildings, setting bombs and ambushes. They killed Kreth by the dozens, then ran before the swarm could respond. They never stayed in one place. They never gave the enemy a target. Hours passed. The city burned. Bodies filled the streets. But the humans kept fighting. Then everything went wrong. A massive Kreth assault cut through the Valkyrie lines. The Princess Queen's command ship was hit and crashed in the Eastern District. Marcus saw it fall. "No," he whispered. He did not stop to think. He gathered 20 soldiers and ran toward the crash site. Tommy shouted for him to stop. He did not listen. The crash site was chaos. Kreths swarmed everywhere. Valkyrie guards fought desperately to protect their queen. Marcus and his soldiers hit the swarm from behind. "Get her out," Marcus screamed. "Get her to safety." He fired until his rifle was empty. He grabbed a Valkyrie spear from a dead guard and kept fighting. A Kreth slashed his arm. Another hit his leg. He did not stop. He could not stop. Then he saw her. The Princess Queen stood in the middle of the battle. Her crown was gone. Her golden skin was covered in blood and dirt. But she was fighting. Psychic energy blazed from her hands, destroying Kreth with every blow. She was beautiful and terrible. And she was going to die. There were too many enemies. Marcus ran to her side. He stood back to back with the ruler of the empire that had enslaved his people. He fought beside her like they were old friends. "What are you doing here?" she shouted over the noise of battle. "Saving your life." "I did not ask for rescue." "Too bad, you are getting one anyway." More Kreth came. Marcus took wounds that should have killed him. He kept fighting. The Princess Queen watched him with wide eyes. She had never seen anything like this. A human, bleeding from a dozen cuts, refusing to fall. Fighting for her. Dying for her. "Why?" she asked. Marcus killed another Kreth. "Because someone has to. Because giving up is not an option. Because that is what humans do." Reinforcements finally arrived. Valkyrie soldiers broke through the swarm and reached their queen. The battle moved away from the crash site. Marcus finally stopped fighting. He looked down at his body. Blood was everywhere. He could not feel his left arm. He was not sure how he was still standing. The Princess Queen caught him as he fell. "Medic!" she screamed. "Get a medic now!" Marcus looked up at her. Her face was blurry. Everything was fading. "Did we win?" he asked. "You stupid, stubborn human," she said. Her voice was shaking. "Yes, we won. The city holds. You won. That is all that matters." Then darkness took him. He did not see the Princess Queen holding his broken body. He did not see the tears on her golden face. He did not hear her whisper words that no Valkyrie ruler had ever said about a human before. "You are worth more than all of us. Do not die. Please do not die." In the burning city of Vaelthur, something had changed forever. The Princess Queen had seen the truth about humanity, and that truth would shake the foundations of her empire. Marcus woke up in a white room. Medical machines beeped around him. His body felt strange, heavy and light at the same time. "You were dead for 3 minutes," a voice said. He turned his head. The Princess Queen sat beside his bed. She looked different. The cold mask she always wore was gone. She looked tired. She looked worried. She looked almost human. "The doctors wanted to let you go," she continued. "They said your injuries were too severe. I ordered them to keep trying. They worked for 6 hours to bring you back." "Why?" Marcus asked. His voice was rough and weak. "I do not know." She looked away. "That is the truth. I do not understand why I care if one human lives or dies, but I do. You have infected me with something, Marcus Cole. I cannot explain it." Marcus tried to sit up. Pain exploded through his body. He fell back. "Rest," the Princess Queen said. The least I can do is let you heal. Days passed. Marcus slowly recovered. The Valkyrie had medical technology far beyond anything on Earth. His wounds closed. His strength returned. But he was changed. He had scars now that would never fade. The Princess Queen visited him every day. At first they argued. She defended her empire. He attacked it. She spoke of order and tradition. He spoke of freedom and justice. But slowly, something shifted. She began to ask questions instead of making statements. She wanted to understand. She wanted to learn. "Tell me about Earth," she said one day. "Tell me about human history." So Marcus told her. He told her about wars and peace, about kings and revolutions, about slavery and freedom. He told her about the worst things humans had ever done. He did not hide the darkness. But he also told her about the light. "We almost destroyed ourselves many times," he said. "We built weapons that could burn the whole planet. We created systems that crushed the weak. We did terrible things to each other. Then how are you still here? We also built hospitals. We wrote laws that protected the innocent. We fought against evil, even when evil was winning. Every time we fell, we got back up. That is what humans do. We fail, we suffer, and then we try again." The Princess Queen was quiet for a long time. "The Valkyrie do not fail," she finally said. "We were perfect from the beginning. We never had to struggle. We never had to grow." "Maybe that is your problem." She looked at him sharply. For a moment he thought she would be angry. Instead, she laughed. It was a strange sound. She had probably not laughed in centuries. "You might be right," she said. "I need to show you something." She took him to a secret room deep in the flagship. The walls were covered with screens, showing data and charts, numbers everywhere. "This is the truth about the sovereignty," she said. "The truth that no one outside the royal family knows." Marcus looked at the screens. He did not understand all the numbers, but he understood enough. Population charts going down, resource levels dropping, military strength weakening year after year. "You are dying," he said. "Yes." The Princess Queen's voice was heavy. "The Valkyrie are an ancient race. We peaked 1,000 years ago. Since then, we have been fading. Our birth rates fall. Our psychic powers weaken with each generation. We conquered other species, not because we were strong, but because we were desperate. You needed slaves to keep your empire running. Yes, humans, Grethki, Seethers, all the lesser species. Without them, the sovereignty would collapse in a century." Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. "So we are just tools to you. Resources to use. That is what I was taught." She turned to face him. "That is what I believed, until I met you. And now? Now I see things differently. On Vaelthur, I watched humans fight and die for each other. I watched you run into certain death to save a queen who had enslaved your people. I saw something I had never seen before." "What?" "Hope. Real hope. Not the cold logic of the Valkyrie. Not calculations about survival. Something wilder. Something stronger." She stepped closer to him. "Marcus, I want to change things. I want to make the sovereignty into something new. A true alliance of species. Not an empire of masters and slaves." Marcus studied her face. He had learned to read Valkyrie expressions over the past months. He saw no lies. She meant every word. "The nobles will never accept it," he said. "The military leaders, the old families, they will fight you. I know. That is why I need allies. Human allies." She paused. "I need you." Marcus thought about everything that had happened. The invasion of Earth, the chains, the death camps, the friends he had lost. He had every reason to hate this woman and her people. But hate was easy. Building something new was hard. "If I help you," he said slowly, What happens to Earth? What happens to my people? They go free. All of them. No more slaves. No more auxiliary forces. Humans become full citizens of a new sovereignty, equal to any Velkhari. And if your nobles refuse? The Princess Queen's eyes hardened. Then we make them accept, whatever it takes. Marcus looked at the data screens. He thought about Tommy Park and the other humans who trusted him. He thought about Earth, still under occupation. He thought about all the species in the galaxy who suffered under Velkhari rule. This was bigger than his anger. This was bigger than revenge. All right, he said. I am with you. But I warn you, humans do not follow quietly. If you want our help, you have to earn it. I would expect nothing less. The Princess Queen smiled. It was a real smile, warm and genuine. Welcome to the revolution, Marcus Cole. Outside the secret room, the old empire continued as normal. Nobles plotted their games, generals planned their wars. No one knew that their world was about to change. But Marcus knew. The Princess Queen knew. And together, they were going to burn the old order to the ground and build something better in its ashes. The real war was about to begin. The announcement shook the galaxy. Princess Queen Elvira Thundara stood before 1 billion watching screens and spoke words that had never been spoken in 10,000 years of Velkhari history. The era of masters and slaves is over. From this day forward, humans and all other species are full citizens of the sovereignty. They will have rights, they will have voices, they will be equal. Across the empire, humans and other lesser species celebrated. They wept in the streets. They held each other and could not believe what they were hearing. In the halls of power, the old nobles felt only rage. Lord Vithnar was the leader of the conservative faction. He was older than the Princess Queen by 300 years. He remembered when Velkhari rule was unquestioned. He would not let a human-loving queen destroy everything he believed in. She has gone mad, he told the gathered nobles. The princess has been corrupted by that human animal. We must save the sovereignty from her madness. What do you propose? Another noble asked. We remove her. We place a true Velkhari on the throne, someone who remembers our glory. He paused. Someone like me. The coup began at midnight. Vithnar's forces moved quickly. They seized the orbital platforms above Velkhari Prime. They captured loyalist commanders before they could react. They surrounded the royal palace with 10,000 soldiers. Marcus was in the palace when the attack started. He heard explosions in the distance. He grabbed his weapons and ran to find the Princess Queen. She was in the throne room, alone except for a handful of loyal guards. Vithnar has betrayed us, she said calmly. His forces control the orbital defenses. My fleet cannot reach us without being destroyed. How many soldiers do we have? 3,000. He has 10 times that number. So, it is a fair fight. The siege of the palace lasted 5 days. Marcus organized the defense. He used every trick he had learned on Earth, on Kethmar, on Vaelthor. He turned the palace into a fortress of traps and ambushes. Every corridor became a killing ground. But they were losing. Slowly, room by room, they were being pushed back. On the 5th day, Marcus gathered his commanders. Tommy Park was there. So were humans from a dozen different planets. They had all come to fight for the Princess Queen. They had all come to fight for freedom. We cannot win this battle, Marcus said. Not by fighting fair. Then what do we do? Tommy asked. We do something crazy. Something so insane that no Velkhari would ever think of it. He pulled up a map of the orbital platforms. We take the fight to them. We hit the command platform and kill Vithnar directly. The humans stared at the map. The platform was in orbit. It was heavily defended. The plan was suicide. I am not ordering anyone to follow me, Marcus said. But I am going. Who is with me? Every human in the room raised their hand. They stole a transport ship. They flew straight at the orbital platforms. The defense guns opened fire. Ships exploded around them. But the humans kept going. They crashed into the command platform's docking bay. Marcus led the charge through the corridors. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. They did not care. Marcus fought like a demon. He killed guards with his rifle, with his knife, with his bare hands. Blood covered him. Some of it was his own. He did not stop. He found Vithnar in the command center. The old noble stood before a window, watching the battle. He turned when Marcus entered. His silver face showed no fear. "A human," Vithnar said. "Of course it would be a human. You vermin ruin everything. Your coup is over. Surrender." "Surrender? To you?" Vithnar laughed. "I am Velkari. I do not surrender to insects." He attacked with psychic power. Force slammed into Marcus, throwing him against the wall. Bones cracked. Pain exploded through his body. But Marcus had been hurt before. Marcus had died before. He stood up. Vithnar's eyes went wide. "Impossible. No creature can survive that." "You still do not understand." Marcus limped forward. "Humans do not care about possible. We do not care about odds. We just keep coming. We never stop. We never give up. That is why you will lose." He attacked. Vithnar hit him again with psychic force. Marcus fell. He stood up. He kept coming. Again and again, the noble struck him down. Again and again, Marcus rose. Until finally, Vithnar's power ran out. The old noble fell to his knees, exhausted. Marcus stood over him, broken and bloody, but still standing. "This is over," Marcus said. Vithnar looked up at him. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. Real fear. Not of death, but of something worse. He finally understood what humans were. "What are you?" he whispered. Marcus smiled through bloody teeth. "We are human, and we are not going anywhere." The battle ended. The orbital platform surrendered. The coup collapsed. Marcus stood in the throne room, barely alive, as the Princess Queen rushed to meet him. The nobles who had once laughed at humans now knelt before the creature who had saved their empire. "Marcus," the Princess Queen said, "you won. You saved everything." "We won," Marcus corrected her. "Humans, Velkari, all of us together." She looked at him with eyes full of wonder and something else. Something warmer. "What do you want?" she asked. "Name anything. The empire is in your debt." Marcus thought about it. He could ask for power. He could ask for wealth. He could ask for revenge against those who had enslaved his people. Instead, he said, "Send me home. Free my people. And then, ask us if we want to be your allies. Do not command. Ask." The Princess Queen smiled. "You never wanted to be a conqueror, did you?" "No. I just wanted to go home." 1 year later, Marcus Cole stood on a hill on Earth. The occupation was over. Humans were free. Ships from the reformed sovereignty visited Earth often now, but they came as friends, not masters. Behind him, a shuttle landed. The Princess Queen stepped out. She had left her throne to visit this small blue planet. "The alliance is official," she said. "Humans are full partners in the new sovereignty. Your people have representatives in the council. Everything you fought for is real." Marcus looked at the stars. So many worlds out there. So many new friends to make. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we build something new, together." She stood beside him, looking at the same stars. "The galaxy will never be the same, Marcus Cole. You changed everything." "I just refuse to give up. Any human would have done the same." "That is exactly my point," she smiled. "That is what makes your species so extraordinary." Marcus laughed. For the first time in years, he felt at peace. The war was over. His people were free. The future was bright. But somewhere in the back of his mind, he knew this was not really the end. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges. New enemies would rise. New battles would need to be fought. And when that time came, humanity would be ready. Not as slaves, not as soldiers, as partners, as equals, as the species that refused to break. The human spirit had shocked a princess queen and changed an empire. And this was only the beginning.